Welcome to step 2, your zone of genius. Now, we talked about step 1, how it's so important to, know your life and your life and soul gifts, and why that makes up knowing your gifts, your innate gifts, and those gifts that you've harnessed, that you've evolved, you've developed, how that helps make up your soul purpose. And I did talk a little bit about your zone of genius. But your zone of genius is, in many ways, the mixture of combination of life and soul gifts that gives you a zone of genius, and it helps solve a problem for your audience. So it's like your unique mixture and combination of gifts, and sometimes that can involve some experience that makes up, it's like almost like it equates to the solution for your audience. Now, it can be very tempting in a business at first to want to solve lots of problems for your audience because you know that you can. But my advice to you is always focus on your zone of genius, your greatest zone of genius at that moment. You can always build in other products and services, and you always can have another side to your business. But it's important to start off with the strongest foundation. And again, if you don't know your zone of genius, get help. Because basically, if you don't know your zone of genius, you're not creating a soul line business. You're just trying to sell something to an audience. But you don't really know if that is your area of expertise and if that is what you're exactly here to do. So it's important to know step 1, and then it's been able to, in many ways, it's like packaging the combination of those gifts, what you are absolutely phenomenal at providing for your audience. And that can change, that can evolve. When I first started self-employed 22 years ago, there was my zone of genius. I'm not saying it was different, it was a different level. So one of the things was knowledge and information about holistic and spiritual wellness. I was a wealth of so much knowledge, right? But I was a natural educator. So what did I do at that moment? I used my innate gifts as a teacher and a sharer. I was naturally someone who shared. As an altruist, I was a natural sharer and empower and encourage it. So what did I do? I wanted to empower people towards a more holistic lifestyle and educate people about, holistic well-being. And there was spirituality in that as well. I just didn't recognize it at the time. And I focused at that point on turning my knowledge that I had accumulated, that was more life skills and life knowledge and life experience, but I used my innate gifts as a natural educator and someone that naturally shared what I had with others, and turned that to my zone of genius at that point when I first started out. That evolved and I became a trainer and an educator. And a lot of what I had also done, even previously to that, was help my own friends tap into their purpose, tap into aspects about them they couldn't see that I could see. And even some of my work was working with organizations like Back to Work, helping people that had addictions, find a purpose in whatever. So there were certain things I was already doing, and obviously that evolved. No matter where you're on your journey, it's almost like we get fine-tuned, we fine-tune things. And some of us find our soul's mission quicker than others. But some of our soul missions and our soul purpose, we need to go along a long, windy road and learn lots of things and get lots of insight to reach the other end, right? I've been one of those people. So even though I was living aspects of my purpose, my journey has been very evolved, very wide, and a lot of learning, a lot of growing, and a lot of deep inner work, because that was required of me to reach this point. Now, there was lots of experiences, just like you, that if I looked at my journey, I didn't understand at the time and thought, oh no, what now? It was almost like life would present me with all sorts of experiences that to maybe other people, there was a lot of judgment around about it. But now I can, even through, for example, the last 3 years, the pandemic, I had experiences and insight and knowledge and awareness that many people didn't have, that really helped people through the last 3 years. And I now can see lots of things about my life, why certain things happened, and it gave me a huge advantage where at other times it had been a huge disadvantage. And that is about understanding your mission and understanding more and more. And sometimes we don't know the end mission. But the key is it's not focusing. It's like creating a soul aligned business is about a lot of trust and getting out of the ego and getting out of the way, and asking for guidance and being guided at a soul level, right? And focusing on each day as just being present and being of service and doing what you're here to do for that day, right? And yeah, it does take a lot of trust, but it's about also recognizing what is your strengths and maybe what is not, right? Now, some archetypes and some of us do find it harder to stick to our zone of genius. I'm going to put my hand up and say I'm one of the first. As a natural creative person, I'm very resourceful. I come from a family background of the eldest of 9, and I come from a background where we were all survivors, real survivors, and really resourceful. No matter what circumstances getting put into, we would find ways to survive and to move forward, right? So I'm like a friend of mine. I've got a friend who is a business coach, and she's a bit like me. She's done lots of things. She's very resourceful, and we can get easily distracted because we have many skills, and we've developed many skills. That what happens is if we're led by service, we know we can do things, so we do a lot of things, but sometimes we move away from our greatest zone of genius because we can. I know, and I know as a business owner, and I know as a spiritual entrepreneur, I know that we can click into what we're absolutely amazing at and actually pay other people to do what they're amazing at. We grow faster, right? And it's understanding when you're gearing off and inhibiting key things. So there's lots of different archetypes that will have different reasons why they veer off. And it can depend on what's going on at that point. But my advice to you is, and I wish that I had help in this area 22 years ago, because I'd have saved myself tens of thousands of pounds. Oh, how many years of trying to be all things for all people, studying all sorts of things, making so many sacrifices, right? And in areas which weren't, I wasn't awful at, and I wasn't bad at. I was actually quite good at, but was it? So it was like, so if you think about something out of 10 or 10, even if you're 9 or 8, you want to be 10 out of 10, because it's 10 out of 10 that people are going to pay you. They're going to be really happy with you, and you're going to repeat your business. So your zone of genius is always about knowing where you can give the greatest results. And some of you, it may be that you deliver things faster, more deeply, more effectively, or it may be a typical type of audience that you are really, and everyone has, of course, you all have a typical audience, because just because you solve a problem, or because you give high value, or your work does a certain thing, doesn't mean that you are aligned with everybody that you think you're aligned with. Right? Or doesn't mean everybody you think should be a potential client. I actually want to be a client. And this is where people make mistake. But the more that you understand yourself and understand the benefits of what you're offering and what is unique, but also unique about you, you get a bigger picture of who's going to be perfectly aligned with you and who might not be perfectly aligned with you, who might not see the way things that you see it. So unlocking your zone of genius, the gifts and skills your soul audience will invest in. If your soul audience and your ideal clients won't invest in it, it's not a zone of genius because you're not given, it's not a solution. Now, if you look at this little boy here, he's got a light bulb and he's a light, right? So he's able to light that light up, right? He's got this energy, but that's a solution. So what does a light do? A light brings a solution to the dark. It brings the light in, right? And you have to be a light for your audience, the audience that will invest exactly in not just in you, but in the type of products and services that you are great at and the way that you do it, right? And that's all part of the zone of genius. So if you don't know what your zone of genius is, again, no matter how much branding or marketing and other things that you do, if you're not doing your zone of genius, you could be really struggling in your business, but you could also be leaving a lot of money, a lot of potential, and slowing down your progress. Because when you do know what your zone of genius is, your business can start really growing at a phenomenal rate because you're really in the zone. It's far easier to convert your clients. You get better testimonials. You get a lot more engagement. You get people coming back, and back. And it is so easy when you're in your zone of genius. So that's the second thing. Okay.